What's going on, guys? It's Mandar. Welcome to the first Gaming Impaired Q&A special. First off, thanks to everybody that submitted questions. I was really impressed with the overall quality of the questions that we got, so let's just jump right into it. The first comes from Zykenis. Zykenis asks, what was the most expensive thing you ever broke while rage quitting? So that was kind of a hard one. I had to, kind of dip into the old memory, because, I've thrown some controllers across the room, which probably, did a number on the joysticks and stuff. I've spilled my share of beers. I've probably, knocked some glasses over, maybe damaged some remotes. But I rarely rage to the point where I feel like I need to break something that I own, which means that it's probably going to cost me money to replace. So I guess I'm just more greedy than I am full of rage, although I can rage with the best of them. Thanks a lot for the question, Zykenis. Kind of going along the same lines, the Serious Squirrel asks, which game frustrated you the most, and would you play it again for entertainment purposes? Now, it kind of really depends on what kind of level of frustration we're talking, because for example, the Hotline Miami games frustrate me a lot, but I still really enjoy playing them, and eventually, I will progress or get somebody to progress for me, because I want to see what happens next and what kind of gameplay is coming up, especially on Hotline Miami 2, because they've been mixing up the gameplay a lot. But going way back into the memory banks again, I would say Superman 64 is a great example of a game that just frustrated me to no end, not just because I wasn't good at it, because, it was kind of a crap, horribly put together game, and you had to go through these crap tutorial levels that were really, really fucking hard before you could even get to the actual game part of the fucking game. And no, I would not play that on the channel for entertainment purposes, because eventually I feel like people can catch on when you're not enjoying what you're doing. And when it's a game that really frustrates you to the point that Superman 64 does, like I was explaining to one of my other subscribers during our Bloodborne two-parter, it's like, yeah, we enjoyed the experience of playing it now, but it feels like we can only do the same levels so many times before eventually we're just going to run out of sex jokes to do, And then the entertainment value of this channel kind of drops off significantly. So thanks a lot for the question, Serious Squirrel. Moving on, Flaming Monocle asks, in true Flaming Monocle fashion, what is the most evil thing you've ever done? Now, if we're talking about video games, that list can get pretty extensive. For example, I've played a lot of the BioWare games. I've done pretty much all the Renegade options that are available to you in the Mass Effect series, although I would argue that many of those Renegade options, in my opinion, were technically the right option, or the right choice to make in that situation. But for that, you can watch the Mass Effect 2 playthrough that I've been doing to hear my thoughts on that stuff. In Dragon Age, maybe some bandits would surrender to me and I would still murder them anyway, because, I wanted the extra gold and the extra experience, to improve my stats, all that good stuff. If we're talking about, real life stuff, I'm not sure how much of that I want to divulge. I suppose I did successfully turn one of my friends over to the dark side, although I could make the argument that the dark side is not inherently evil, as some would suggest, just used for evil purposes. I may have raised or lowered the value of certain items to certain people to suit my needs in certain situations. I don't have any skeletons in my closet, although I wouldn't keep skeletons in my closet if I had them, because that would eventually start to rot and attract people and animals. If I were to hide my murdered victims somewhere, of which there are none, let me make that clear, it would probably be in, like a ditch or a secluded area, ocean, something like that, I don't know. But, I guess we'll just move on before I divulge anything else. TerraVision Gaming wants to know what I would do in a zombie apocalypse, and he wants basically the whole plan. So first, it kind of really depends on what kind of zombie apocalypse we're talking about. For example, if it's a Shaun of the Dead apocalypse, then I would basically just go the rest of my life as normal. Go to work, hang out with friends, try to reconnect with an ex-girlfriend that's clearly not having it, and then just, spend the rest of the night at one of my favorite bars and relax with a couple pints and just ignore The Walking Dead. If it's a regular, classic Dawn of the Dead style zombie apocalypse, well, there's a number of things I would do. First off, I would be probably the last person that would be responsible for the ranged defenses. I would probably stick to melee weapons, bat or a sharp edge of some sort, maybe a sword, and maybe a shotgun as just like a secondary weapon for close range combat. And we would gather as many resources as we could. We'd head out to my dad's boat on the marina, because we're a coastal region, and just head out to sea, fish for a bit for food, and I guess pretty much just sit back and wait for Brad Pitt to save us. Butimus asks, would you rather be an animal you hate and live a very long life, or an animal you like and live a very short life? So since we factored in that insects were going to be considered animals, yeah, fuck that noise. No amount of time living as an insect or like a spider or something is worth the horrible existence that would be. So I would obviously pick a short life and an animal I like, because there's a lot of cool animals out there, like be like a moose or a dog, like an elephant, dinosaur, or a dolphin, something like that. I feel like those would all be awesome, even for a short amount of time. Moving on, Noble Panda asks, would you ever consider quitting life to become a burrito?
No! No! No.
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 No. No.
No. No.
No.
No.
No.
No. Yes.
Next question comes from Two Moogles Gaming, and they ask, if there was one game you could show an alien race that would show the true merits of humanity, what would it be? Now, I know people are going to be like, oh, this is a cop-out, like, everybody would just choose this one, it's so obvious. But some cliches are cliches because they're true. I would choose Battletoads. Just kidding, no, I would choose Earthbound, actually. For a lot of reasons. I mean, if you've never played Earthbound, this is kind of a big spoiler, so you might want to mute your YouTube thing. But if you ignore all the behind-the-scenes stuff, all of the stuff about Gygas that isn't really shown in the game, all the stuff from Mother 1, and just take the game at face value, think about it, you go through this entire adventure just exploring the world, and you see all these terrible things. Granted, they're all subtle, but they're still kind of horrifying, like people that will just attack you on the street at random, you know, implied prostitution, gang lords, mafia people, greedy businessmen that are taking advantage of everybody. And you get through all of that, and you finally get to the end, and this is why it's a good example, because when you finally confront the alien force, Gygas, at the end, and you call out to, you know, people to help you defeat them, and it shows you all, basically every single good person that you ever encountered on your journey, and it just shows, yeah, this is kind of a horrible, messed up place, but there's good people here too, and that makes this world worth saving, you know, and that's one of the main reasons why I think it's obviously one of my favorite games of all time, and I would definitely not hesitate in showing that to an alien race, even though the game is, granted, not for everybody. Now, if you wanted to turn it around the other way and say, what would I show an alien race to show that humanity deserves annihilation, well, I'll just give you a quick hint.
Clearly, organics are more resourceful than we realized.
Our next question comes from Rent-A-Hero, and Rent-A-Hero asks, butter, late night snack, or a personal lubricant? And please state your answer in the form of an essay. Well, Rent-A-Hero, I accepted the challenge and I'm happy to oblige. I'm just going to take a quick moment here to get the mood right, shift gears a little bit. We all fully aware how butter can be used to enrich our lives when taking it through the mouth, be it as a late-night snack or a condiment on some other foodstuffs. But have we ever stopped to consider just how butter can be used to enrich our lives in a sexual manner, for us and our partners? But before we can explore just how it is that butter can be used as an effective lubricant, we must first understand just why it is we use lubricants in general. According to a guide to lube from AskMen.com, quote, personal lubricant is the quickest, easiest, and quite possibly most effective preventative measure you can take against dryness and chafing during sex. It can prolong your lovemaking sessions, as well as make your own masturbation time more enjoyable, not to mention it is nearly essential for the act of anal sex. Quickies can actually be quick, long-time lovemaking smooth, and you and your partner will avoid any post-soreness you may have otherwise experienced. So just how does butter slide into the equation, pun intended? First, you must consider that butter is classified as an oil-based lubricant. There are, of course, other types of lubricants, such as water and silicone-based, but for purposes of this discussion, we'll be focusing strictly on oil-based lubricants. There are key advantages and disadvantages to using oil-based lubricants. On the positive side of things, oils are non-soluble. which means they will last much longer on the affected regions, such as the penis, vagina, or perhaps the asshole, with greatly reduced need for reapplication as sex progresses. However, it is important that you understand on the negative side of things that oils contain many acids, which quickly erode latex products, meaning your condoms will be greatly reduced in overall effectiveness. So, if you are practicing safe sex or want to reduce the chance of pregnancy, it is not recommended that you use oil-based lubricants. This is doubly important when practicing anal sex, as several harmful bacteria are commonly transferred through the anus. Also, consider the feelings of your lady friend. While all bodies are certainly different, it is not uncommon for oil-based lubricants to cause irritation in the clitoral region, as well as cause harm to the overall vaginal health. Therefore, it is recommended that you only use oil-based lubricants for personal use. So, all of that information considered, in answer to your question, my friend Rent-A-Hero, while I do have a great deal of empathy for the personal pleasure and overall comfort of my female companions, I've been trying to watch my weight as of late, so I suppose I'll go with the lube thing, but only for personal use. Now, before we move on to the final question, I'm just going to take a quick moment to delete my internet history. Alright, our final question comes from Tight Fist and Loose Cankles, and they ask, what was the point of inventing clear Pepsi? Now, I've done a fair amount of research on this, and a lot of people postulated that clear Pepsi was basically just a rehash of Crystal Pepsi. Now, going into the way back machine, in 1992 was when the Pepsi Corporation first test marketed the Crystal Pepsi. It was a clear, supposedly caffeine-free, healthier option to normal sodas, as people were very concerned about health in soft drinks at that time. They tested it in a few markets in California, Colorado, Texas, and Rhode Island. The following year, 1993, Pepsi released the drink nationwide under the marketing campaign of "You've never seen a taste like this before." We'll just ignore that I'm not sure how you exactly see a taste. Presumably everybody that was drinking Pepsi in that era was also dropping LSD. The truth is, we absolutely had experienced a taste like Crystal Pepsi before. It was called Pepsi. Now, you'll remember that Pepsi historically has been a major player in Super Bowl marketing campaigns. Fans of American football will note that 1992 and 1993, the same time that Crystal Pepsi was a thing, was also the last time the Dallas Cowboys were relevant. A year later, they would fall off, as would Crystal Pepsi, presumably because everybody eventually figured out that Crystal Pepsi was basically just Pepsi with trace amounts of bleach in it. Fast forward to 2005 and Clear Pepsi. Not in the United States, mind you, but in Mexico, when it was first introduced. Fast forward a bit more, and the first rumors of Crystal Pepsi making a comeback would start to surface. Fast forward one more time to around 2014, when these rumors would start to become more widespread, and it was looking like a real possibility. This is also conveniently when the Dallas Cowboys finally started to look like a playoff team again. So as to the aforementioned point of Clear Pepsi, I suggest that there is only one logical possibility. Clear Pepsi is just one small part of a much larger, long-term plan by the Pepsi Corporation in conjunction with the Dallas Cowboys franchise and the state of Texas to annex the country of Mexico, using it as a cheap source of labor so that they can be more self-sustaining, and finally secede from the Union. My response to the Pepsi Corporation would be, "You can have them, I'll stick to beer." And that is all for the questions in this first Q&A special. I, again, just want to thank everybody that submitted questions. These were awesome. I really enjoyed reading them and coming up with responses. I'll leave the links to all the people who submitted questions either in this video or in the description of this video. So those of you that are new, please go check out all of the people that submitted questions. They're all great channels that deserve your attention. And also, if you wanted to leave a question but didn't get a chance to or forgot, just leave your question in the comments, and when we get around to the next Q&A special, I'll be sure to make a note of the question that you leave, and I look forward to it. So thanks a lot one more time for watching this video, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Bye.
So here we go again. It seems like nothing's changed except for you. And you know me, I've always been the same. I'm done playing your games. This time it's over. Hit reset, but why can't I seem to put down the controller, y'all?